Welcome to Channel X TV, sponsored by Volo, and I'm really delighted today to be joined by Paul, or Dilge as he's known to his friends, from Volo. So, how are you, Paul?
I'm very well, Chris. Thanks for that, and looking forward to a chat.
Yeah, so I wanted to catch up with you. I know we've spoken off camera, but I just want to get your thoughts for the people watching on what's happening in the industry, how you expect e-commerce retailing on channels to go over the course of 2024, what's new and exciting, what's changing.
Okay, so well, a lot to cover in that question. So for me, the ongoing economy and cost of living pressures are making it hard for sellers to grow their business profitably. Brands are increasingly moving D2C, direct to consumer, and they're forcing online marketplace retailers to develop their own brands, to develop their own website, web stores, and find new markets that are less competitive. And the largest marketplaces, from what we've seen, they seem more focused on profitability than growth at the moment, which means sellers are having to invest more in advertising to get noticed.
Yeah, we've seen that particularly with eBay, where effectively promoted listings have increased fees. And the same is true on the other big UK marketplace, Amazon. Although, to be fair, they've just had their results in, and I think their growth was somewhere around 12-13%, depending which region of the world you're looking at.
Right.
But their fees are still growing with sponsored products and sponsored brands. And that's a real challenge, because if you're paying 10-12% fees and then you've got another 10-12% advertising on top, we're getting up towards 20-25% commission. So what can even the brands that are going D2C do to sort of combat this, in your opinion?
Well, I think where we help companies is that we offer resilience. So we help sellers streamline their selling across multiple channels. So we connect the flow of data that comes from their suppliers through to their selling channels, and obviously within their business as well, the flow of data within their business. And this enables them to reduce those manual processes and fill the gaps in their automation. So it's really all about sort of the before and the after scenarios for our customers. And they'll come to us when they're still prospects, and they'll say, well, these are our problems. These are the workarounds we're currently having to do. This is all the spreadsheet analysis and the number crunching we need to do for our reporting. So we then demo to them how we solve them, and often commit to adding functionality for them to fill those remaining gaps. So the idea really, Chris, is to transform the typical day in the life of our customers, owners and staff, so that they can scale up their business profitably.
And you said something else that I found really interesting, that more and more brands are going D2C, and it's kind of forcing retailers to open their own brands or own private labels, white labels. Do you foresee in sort of, I don't know, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, will there still be space online for retailers, or is every brand going to go D2C, and those retailers that aren't brands at the moment need to create their own brand if they're going to survive?
Well, I think what we're seeing amongst our customers, Chris, is that they are coming to the conclusion quickly, and a lot have already, that they need their own brand. They need to be able to control their brand. So they are developing own brand, or they're developing exclusive relationships with brands. And they're also developing those web store channels so that they've got more control over that entire customer experience. And obviously also they've got greater margins as well. So I think there will always be room for the entrepreneurial, agile retailer, but they're just going to continue to get squeezed more as brands continue to say, no, I want to control my brand on online channels as well as offline.
And we mentioned sort of Amazon, eBay earlier, and said they're getting quite expensive to sell on compared to in the past. But we should acknowledge they still generate millions and millions of pounds worth of business every day.
Absolutely.
But what other channels are really exciting for you? What are you looking to for the future?
Well, we're guided a lot by people like yourselves in Channel X, and we're also guided by our customers and where they're looking to develop. In fact, we had a customer just onto us today saying, with the Miracle Marketplace, we want to look at 2 more marketplaces in France. And so we're trying to develop those marketplaces as quickly as we can so that people can find those less competitive, those emerging marketplaces, marketplaces like Temu, for example, TikTok Shop, as well as some of the more regional marketplaces, so that they can really enhance their resilience. As I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, Chris, it's really all about having that resilience.
And obviously, you mentioned miracle marketplaces and regional marketplaces, and we've got great examples here in the UK with the likes of B&Q, Debenhams, Boots, Superdrug. There's a whole load of new marketplace channels in just the UK, and growing just as much in Europe as well.
That's exactly right. And you mentioned a few examples from the the Miracle Marketplace platform, and then you've got the Marketplacer platform as well, who are behind Tesco, BT, Gerald's, Boots. Some of these are not quite live yet, but by the time a lot of our readers will be looking at these videos, they will be. And so it's very, very exciting what's happening, not just from a brand perspective, but also from a brand marketplace perspective, and third-party brands and resellers getting on those marketplaces.
So there's a lot going on then. I've got to ask a question, Paul. Why are Volo best placed to help companies in this changing landscape? And I know you don't often talk about Volo, but I'm going to put you on the spot today. I really want to know, what makes Volo so special?
Well, as you probably gathered, I much rather talk about the market and how our customers are responding to the market. But from our own perspective, I guess it's 3 things for us that stand out. Number one, we're e-commerce ERP, so enterprise resource planning exclusively for e-commerce. So we connect all the parts of a seller's business, and it's not just about great multi-channel listing or inventory management or warehouse management or order management. It's really about being the backbone for your business. So you've got that breadth, and you've also got that depth and robustness to handle literally millions of SKUs, thousands of orders across multiple channels, and hundreds of suppliers. So that's the first thing. Secondly, we've got very strong reporting and analytics. So you can see how much money you're really making down to each individual order. You can control your cash flow because you automatically know how fast your stock is selling and when and how much you need to reorder. And you know at any point how your sales are performing against plan, for example, so that you can make changes quickly. So that's really about working on your business rather than being stuck in the business. And reason number three, yes, we're a software platform, but we'll also customize it to your exact requirements to fill in those gaps in your processes or those inefficiencies that I was talking about, because every business is unique. And I suppose a bonus one, a 4th reason is we've different pricing models to suit different businesses, because like I said, every business is unique.
Yeah, and I think it's worth noting that Volo's got a long history, and I don't know if you'll tell me off for saying this, but all the ways back to when it was known as eSeller Pro. But for those that don't know Volo so much, tell us a bit about the history and just what you've been up to over the years.
Well, you're absolutely right, Chris. We've been around a long time. So our founder and our CTO, Chris Farrelly, he started the business in 2004. So we're effectively 20 years old this year, 2024.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you very much. And it reminds me that we need to maybe plan some festivities, because a good portion of our customers have been with us almost that length of time as well.
I think a party's in order.
I think you could be right. We need to schedule something for the summer. But so 2004, I think we were probably the only company doing this in Europe at the time. And as you've noted, we were eSeller Pro then, and we became Volo in 2015, February 2015. And in 2019,
that itself is almost 10 years ago.
It is indeed. So the anniversaries are coming thick and fast. And then in 2019, which is almost 5 years ago, Constellation Software acquired us. They're a Canadian company they're not that well known, but actually they're a top 10 global IT brand, and they've got over 1,000 companies like Volo in their portfolio. So in a nutshell, we've rock solid backing, Chris, and we've very, very broad and deep resources.
And I think it's really interesting that you've been around since 2004, because that's only like 8 years after eBay was founded, and that was in the US. eBay wasn't even in the UK back then. So you really have been around since the beginning, and I find it really encouraging that you're not just supporting the marketplaces like eBay and Amazon that were around back then, but right up today you're talking about the Debenhams and the Boots and the Tesco's of the world, and the TikToks and the new channels that are coming along, and keeping an eye on Temu and seeing if that's going to be a channel people could adopt in the future. So it must be an exciting time for you. After 20 years, you think a business would be pretty stable, but there's still a heck of a lot of change going on in e-commerce. What are the biggest challenges for you looking ahead?
Well, I think it's a very competitive marketplace, and a lot of our competitors simply didn't exist 5 years ago, let alone 20 years ago. So what we're trying to do is we're obviously trying to anticipate where the market's going to go, especially when we're talking to new partners and new prospects on a weekly basis. But also, it's all about staying as close as we can to our customers. And we're fortunate, and we've got a number of customers who've been with us a very, very long time. So we consider them, and they consider us, partners, rather than this sort of supplier client relationship that I don't really think is the way to build a long-term future for either party. So I think for us, it's all about staying really close to the market, staying really close to our customers, and making sure that we're continuing to work with them to help them to grow their business. And it reminds me, as you were sort of talking about, the constant change and things. It seems a long time ago, Chris, that we were all negotiating the pandemic, but it does remind me that we did a lot of pro bono work during the pandemic with eBay. We helped eBay establish the NHS PPS supply portal, whereby lots and lots of NHS first line and frontline providers were able to source all of their PPS products through eBay, and we were there behind that, doing a lot of the order processing and fulfillment through partners like eBay and some of the other partners in that supply chain. And so it's been a very exciting, a very dynamic, but also a very rewarding couple of decades.
Now, lots going on, Paul, but for those who've had their appetite whetted and would like to get in touch and maybe just chat channels with you, but maybe take a serious look at Volo, how do they get hold of you? Where's the best place to go?
Well, the best place to go is obviously the website. So that's volocommerce.com. So VOLO.
We'll put a link to it just below.
That sounds great. That means I don't have to call it out again. And that's really the best place to get in touch with us. Contact us that way, or you'll probably follow us maybe on social media or get in touch with us that way.
Fantastic. And I think you're going to have a lot of people knocking down your door about this summer party, Paul. Apologies. I think you're on the hook for that now. Now the 20 years is out.
I need to start rebalancing the budgets then for Q3 to make that happen.
Yeah, but no, huge congratulations on a 20-year e-commerce business that's still going strong. And if people want to find out more, look up Dilge on LinkedIn or volocommerce.com. And thank you for your time, Paul.
Thank you, Chris. My real name is Paul Dilger, in case you do look up Dilge on LinkedIn, but it's been a pleasure. Thanks for listening and watching.